University and Senior Fellow at the Center for Global Policy in Washington, D.C., and joins us now live from New York. And from where you're sitting there, what are these protests looking like to you? Is this something that could gain momentum or keep up the momentum to become something bigger?
So in one regard, it's too early to tell. This today was not really expected that people would come into the streets in about 6 different provinces in Cairo, that the fear barrier could have been broken. And so in one regard, it's too early to tell, and it's very surprising. But on the other hand, it's actually not surprising. If we look at the Egyptian population today, of 100 million people, the average age is 23. Now, if you subtract 8, which was when the revolution happened 8 years ago, it means the average age was 15. And so you have much of the population doesn't live with the post-revolution trauma or the memories of the revolution in the way the older generation did. You have a group of young people coming in with a different set of demands and different kinds of understanding of a future possibility. So those on the streets today are very different than the ones that were there 8 years ago. If we look at the economic situation in Egypt, today, in 2013, poverty rates were about 20%. 2019, they're upwards of 33%. And according to the World Bank, they're actually 60%. And so when you have much of this population is, number one, young, did not see the benefits of the revolution, and is living in a level of poverty and is clamped down with levels of austerity that is really crippling everyday life. And then on the one hand, you have these media blitzes and releases of videos from a man named Muhammad Ali, who is supposedly a regime insider, who's not just revealing a level of corruption and government mismanagement, but is also showing the people that while the president asks you to sacrifice, while austerity measures are increasing, and while opportunities for young people are really decreasing, he and his family are living a very lavish lifestyle. So we could be at a crescendo moment that leads to people to break through the fear barrier, or this could be a moment where the regime is actually allowing these protests to happen to a certain extent. I think it's too early to tell where we are, but we're in a critical moment.
Right. Going back to Muhammad Ali, whom you mentioned, who was a military contractor, he's also an actor, currently sitting outside of Egypt, yes. Putting out social videos, social comments. Why do you think he has resonated so much with the wider population of Egypt, that we're seeing people actually take up a call to rally on the streets from him?
Right. So on one hand, he's not ideologically bound. He's not in the typical camps that we see. He's not an Islamist. He's a secularist. He's in many ways just a simple son of the nation. He's an actor. He has a following. But he's also speaking as a regime insider, as a former contractor for the military, who is uncovering or revealing the level of internal corruption, but also a complete government mismanagement of Egyptian funds. If we look at, for example, the amount of external loans that Egypt has taken, they used to be 46 billion in just 3 years ago. Today, they're 106 billion. Egypt has tripled its internal debt. It continues to borrow money from the population for some of these basically government schemes, like the expansion of the Suez Canal that did not return any money on the investment. And so when you have such economic clampdown, and he reveals that it's actually worse, and it's not just simple corruption, but it's actually the ruling family, Sisi and his wife and children, are living in excess and luxury at the expense of the Egyptian people, where he, on the other side of his mouth, asks them for continued austerity. Then the resonance of Muhammad Ali is because he's revealing this internal story that Sisi is selling you a lie.
Thank you very much, Dalia Fahmy. Good to speak to you.